Let's start seated. Finding your comfortable seat. So feeling that the weight of your body, if you just sit up first, and then notice if one side of your body is heavier than the other. If your sit bone is weighing down more on one side than the other. And then see if you can even it out. It might take some swaying back and forth. And then it might feel good to sway forward and back as well, finding the center point where it feels right, where you can push the sit bones down and lift the chest and crown of the head up, almost like you're stretching out the spine, finding length. Just take a few breaths in that place that feels like the center. And notice your feet on the floor, feeling the soles of the feet resting down. The hands can be wherever they feel good. Palms up sometimes feels a little bit more open if you're looking to kind of uplift your energy or seeing what the universe has to offer. If you're feeling like some grounding would feel better, palms down can feel good. It might feel good to close the eyes, or you might just keep the gaze soft. Taking a few deep, slow breaths. If it would feel good, you could let the shoulders melt down, maybe imagining that the elbows were quite heavy. You might soften the forehead and jaw. You might soften the belly if that feels good, allowing the breath to travel a little more deeply, but without any extra effort, allowing it to be a natural breath. Feeling, noticing how your body feels as it breathes. Eyes can stay closed or they can flutter open. And we'll start moving into the head and neck. With an exhale, let's tip the chin down towards the chest. And then with an inhale, lift the head, lifting the chin, maybe gazing up towards the far corner of the room. Exhaling again to bring the chin down towards the chest and continuing to move in this way, following the pattern of your breath. The next time you feel you've done both directions evenly, making your way back to center, head facing forward, and noticing any sensations in the neck, base of the skull, the shoulders. Maybe taking note if your spine is collapsed at all, finding that tall spine, lengthy, stretchy spine. And then we'll continue moving into the head. With your next exhale, we'll turn to look over one shoulder. Then inhale back to center. Exhaling to look over the other shoulder. And inhaling back to center when you're ready. Continuing to move, letting the breath guide your movement. And the next time you feel even, making your way back to center. No rush to get there. Pausing to notice sensations. Let's move down into the shoulders. We'll start with some shoulder rolls in whichever direction feels right. Hands can rest down or they can lift. And we'll switch directions when you're ready, rolling the shoulders the other way. And releasing the hands back down, releasing the shoulders down, pausing to notice sensation. Then let's roll just one shoulder. And then the other, same direction. We'll just do one at a time. And then let's reverse, one at a time, the other way. And when you feel even, releasing the shoulders down, letting the hands rest down again. Let's next shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. And then release as you exhale. Twice more, inhaling to shrug up towards the shoulders. And release on the exhale. One more time, shrugging up towards the ears. And release on the exhale. Moving down into the hands. Let's move into the wrists a little bit, finding some circles in both wrists. And then switching directions, wrists the other way. And let's spread the fingers out wide. And then bring the fingers all together. Then wide and together. This doesn't have to be so slow. You can move a little more quickly, just spreading and then bringing the fingers back together. Few times. And shake out the hands. Continuing with the hands, we'll make duckbills. So duckbills can face each other. Then we'll face forward. Then how would it feel to turn away from you? Up high. Down low. Reaching back behind you. And then releasing, shaking out the hands. Moving into kind of the chest and upper back a little bit. We'll start with hands in prayer. And with an inhale, we'll open the arms up into goalpost or cactus arms. Imagine pulling the shoulder blades back together. And then exhale to bring the hands to prayer. Inhaling to cactus arms. Pulling shoulder blades together. Exhaling to come to prayer, shoulder blades spread apart gently. Or release. Inhaling to cactus. Exhaling to prayer. One more time, inhaling to cactus. Exhaling back to prayer. And then releasing the hands. Pausing, noticing sensations in the hands and the shoulders. Maybe in the chest and the upper back. And we'll continue down, moving into the spine a little more. Let's find some side bends. So for today's side bends, let's do our giant beach ball, holding the hands wide above the head as though you were holding something, a really big beach ball. As you exhale, keeping the sit bones heavy, we'll reach over to one side or lean to one side. Inhaling back up. Exhaling the other way. Inhaling back up. Exhaling again, first side. Inhaling back up. Exhaling other side. Inhaling back up and releasing the hands back down. Give yourself that pause, the moment to notice. And we'll move into a twist. Variations for our twist today. Feet can stay firmly planted, parallel. You might rather cross one leg over the other. Or if you would like a little bit of hip opening, or it would feel good to get into the hip a little bit, we can draw the top knee up and away so that either the shin or ankle is resting on the bottom leg. If you come all the way down to the ankle, then the top foot is flexed, toes pulling towards the shin. So any of these variations, both feet on the floor, one thigh crossed over the other, or the shin or ankle resting over the bottom knee. From here, find your tall spine. As you exhale, we'll turn towards the lifted knee, the crossed knee, as though you were turning your shoulders more than anything. The back hand might come back beside your hip on the backrest of the chair or on the seat of the chair, or maybe around the backrest. If it would feel okay and good for the neck, you could look over that shoulder. Breathing as deeply and smoothly as feels okay. And then let's unwind, coming back to center. Pausing here, letting the legs be as they are. Then from here, we'll take a small forward fold. So wherever the legs are, we'll be folding over the legs. So keeping the chest broad, tipping forward. The hands can rest down, but you're keeping the shoulders nice and broad. We're not collapsing forward. You could imagine gently pulling the shoulder blades towards each other, not so much as though you were squeezing a pencil or anything, but just a gentle pulling together. And with your next inhale, let's come all the way back up. Uncross the legs if they were crossed, bringing both feet firmly back down to the ground. And then notice any sensations in the foot, the ankle, the leg, maybe in the torso from the twist. And then we'll set up on the other side. So legs can either stay where they are, feet flat on the ground. Option 2 would be crossing the other thigh over the bottom leg. Or you might draw the top knee up and away so that either the shin or ankle is resting on the bottom leg. If you come all the way to the ankle, then we'll flex the top foot, pulling the toes towards the shin. And breathing here, finding the tall seat again. When your next exhale arrives, we'll turn towards the lifted knee. The back hand might come back beside your hip on the seat of the chair, or you might come to the backrest. If it feels good for the neck, you might look back behind you over your shoulder. Breathing as smoothly and deeply as feels okay. And then with an inhale, unwinding, making your way back to center. And keep the legs as they are for a moment. And if it would feel good, inhaling nice and tall. And folding over the legs. Keeping the chest broad, again, finding that gentle retraction of the shoulder blades. Continuing to breathe. And then when you're ready, inhaling back up and unwinding the legs. Letting both soles of the feet rest back on the floor if they were lifted. Finding that tall seat again and noticing any sensations in the body, whether that's in the legs, the torso, maybe both, anywhere else that you might be feeling anything. Moving on into the spine, or continuing into the spine, we'll find our cat-cow variation, arching and rounding of the spine. So option either to bring hands to the knees, and we can move from there, or you might interlace the hands behind your head with the thumbs resting down behind your ears. So I'll demo both. If you're starting off with hands on knees, with an exhale, we'll push the knees away, spreading the shoulder blades gently apart and feeling as though we could pull the belly back towards the back of the room. With an inhale, we'll draw chest forward, gaze might lift, and the ribs come forward. Exhaling to round, Halloween cat shape, and inhaling to cow. The second variation, with the hands interlaced behind the head, would be with an exhale to draw elbows together in front of you, rounding the spine, spreading the shoulder blades apart. And as you inhale, drawing elbows apart and reaching them back behind you, sending the chest forward. Exhaling to round. Inhaling to arch. So whichever variation you choose, moving through 2 or 3 more times. And then making your way back, coming back to the tall seat. If the hands are lifted, releasing the hands. If the hands are stretched away from you, softening them, letting them come back to your lap. Noticing sensations in the body again, giving yourself that time. All right, coming into our bit of core work next. Bringing the hands back to the knees and letting the arms be straight. Finding your tall spine. If you'd like to reacquaint yourself with the area we're looking to work with, you can cough. Finding where the contraction happens around your torso. And then softening before we begin. Hands on knees, knees on hands. Inhale into a tall spine, keeping the chest broad. With an exhale, pushing hands into the knees and drawing the knees up into the hands. And breathing. 2 more breaths if it feels okay to be here. Letting the breath be as smooth as possible, even though we're contracting the middle. Last breath. And then release the hands, release the legs. It might feel good to twist a little bit from side to side, or maybe to come forward, hands resting on the thighs, softening the belly. Before coming back to center, back to the tall spine and resetting. We'll do it twice more. Bringing hands to your knees, arms stretched, tall spine, inhale. As you exhale, push the hands into the knees, draw the knees up into the hands, and keep breathing. 1 more breath. And release. Your version of softening the belly, whether that's a twist in each direction, or coming forward, softening the belly. Making your way back to the tall spine, resetting, hands to knees, knees to hands. Inhale here. Exhale to push into the knees. Draw the knees up into the hands. Keep breathing. Last breath here. And release. Your version. Counter the core, soften the core. Maybe the lean forward. before making your way back to center. Moving down into the legs and hips. Let's sit forward just a little bit, bringing the sit bones closer to the edge of the chair. And we'll draw right knee up towards you. With this right knee lifted, we'll start to move the leg in circles in the hip socket, making the circles as big as feels okay. We're not looking for any pain, just exploring the range of motion available to us today. And switching directions when you're ready. And bringing the leg forward again, but keeping the foot lifted. We'll find some ankle circles. Switching directions when you're ready. Pointing and flexing the foot a few times. And then switching the hold to hold maybe under your thigh if that feels all right, or below the knee. And then we'll stretch the leg out 3 times. Stretching and then bending. Do one more. And then we'll release right foot down. Pausing for a moment, noticing sensations or differences from one thigh, one hip, one knee to the other. And then we'll move over to the other side, drawing the knee up towards you. Holding wherever feels comfortable, and we'll find hip circles on this side. Switching directions when you're ready. And then when the leg comes back towards center, we'll find some ankle circles. Switching directions when you're ready. Let's point and flex the foot a few times. And then let's switch the hold of the leg. So you might be holding underneath the thigh now or below the knee. And we'll stretch into the leg 3 times. Stretching the foot away and then bending. One more time, stretch and bend. And we'll release that foot to the floor. Giving yourself the time and space to notice sensations. Anything different from this leg to the other. Anything that's drawing your attention. Then we'll move through our sun salutations. And we'll move through some moon salutations once we come to standing. And so let's start setting yourself up for your sun salutations, whether that means feet are parallel, knees parallel, or whether you prefer a little more space when we come into our forward fold to allow the belly to come through or the torso to come through the legs. Push the feet into the mat or into the ground to stabilize the knees and hips to keep them really nice and stable still. With an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up as high as they feel good going. And then exhale, hands back to thighs. With an inhale, we'll come to cow pose, drawing the chest forward, pulling shoulder blades together, gaze lifts. And then exhale to round the spine, belly towards the back of the chair, shoulder blades spread apart. Inhaling to a tall and neutral spine, coming back to center. And exhaling to fold forward. Fingertips might trace the shins, or the hands might come to the floor, and your forearms might come to your knees. With an inhale, we'll sweep the right arm up into a twist. And exhale to bring the hand back down. Inhale, left hand up into a twist. Exhale, left arm back down. With an inhale, coming back to a tall seat, arms sweep up and go as high as they feel good going. And exhale, hands back to thighs. Pausing here for a moment. Noticing any sensations that are coming up. making any adjustments that you feel you'd like to make. And we'll move through that again with your inhale. Sweep arms up. Exhale, hands back to thighs. Inhale to draw the chest forward, cow pose. Exhale to round the spine, Halloween cat. Coming back to center, tall or neutral spine. Exhale to fold forward. With an inhale, the right arm sweeps up into a twist. Exhale, right arm back down. Inhale, left arm up into a twist. Exhale, left arm down. Coming back to a neutral spine with the inhale, arms sweep up. And exhale back, hands back to thighs. Coming back to our starting position, tall seat. Pausing to notice sensations, making any adjustments that you wish. Last one with an inhale, sweeping arms up. Exhale, hands back to thighs. Inhale to cow, chest comes forward, gaze lifts. Exhale to cat, rounding the spine. Inhale back to center, neutral spine. Exhale, fold forward. With an inhale, right arm sweeps up. Exhale, right arm comes back down. Inhale, left arm sweeps up into a twist. Exhale, left arm comes back down. Coming back to a tall and neutral spine on the inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, hands back to thighs. Pause for a moment here. Notice any flow of energy or sensations in the body. And let's come to standing. So you can move your feet closer if you wish, but coming to standing any way that feels good. We will use the backrest of the chair. And we'll stand with the left hip closest to the chair, if that feels good. Far enough away that your arms stretched can rest comfortably on the chair. So just a little distance from the chair. With that distance measured, feet can be together or they can be a little bit apart, just finding your stable stance. And with an inhale, we'll sweep arms up and overhead. If they feel good, they can touch or they can be wide. As you exhale, tip towards the chair. Inhaling back up. Exhale away from the chair. Inhale back up. Bring the hands down through center, coming to prayer position. And step the feet wide, toes pointing out. Bending into the knees, we'll come into goddess pose. This can be shallow or deep, depending on how the knees feel. Keep breathing. From here, we'll stretch into the legs. Let the arms reach wide, 5-pointed star. Your arms might reach back behind you a little bit, stretching into the chest or sending the chest forward. The gaze might lift. Then coming back into a standing position, arms still wide. We'll turn the feet. So right foot, you'll come up onto the heel and the toes will point forward. Left foot coming up onto the heel will turn the toes towards the chair. Your right hand, or the hand furthest from the chair, can come to your waist. And then we'll tip over the front leg, letting the hand come to rest on the backrest of the chair. Breathing here, triangle pose. From here, we'll pivot on the toes and we'll turn the hips towards the chair. So you might come up onto the back toes and swivel, turning to face the chair. The back heel can stay high or it can come down. And you might lessen the width of the stance a little bit. You might make it a little bit shorter. Both legs stay straight. or as straight as possible. And then we'll tip forward over the front leg, any amount. The hands can rest on the chair. If you're looking for more sensation or more depth, you might bring the hands to the seat of the chair or to your leg. This is pyramid pose, breathing here. From here, we'll come into a lunge. So we'll bend into the front leg. The back heel will likely lift. Finding your stability, both legs strong. And if you feel really stable, one arm or both arms might lift up and overhead. This is optional. And we'll bring the hands back down to the chair. Again, we'll pivot on the toes, turning to face the front again. And we might move, bending from one leg to the other, kind of a speed skater idea. Letting it be gentle. And then coming to stand. We'll bring the feet back together so that we can move the chair from one side of the mat over to the other side. So we're right in the middle of our sequence. We'll widen the feet again. This time the other hand has access to the chair. And we'll come into that speed skater stance just a moment more. This time we'll end with the right leg bent. And we'll pivot on the toes to face the chair. We're in this high lunge. Hands can stay on the chair. The back heel can be lifted. The right knee is bent this time. And if you're feeling stable, one or both hands might lift, coming up and overhead. If the hands are lifted, we'll bring them back to the chair and straighten the front leg. You might lessen the width of the stance a little bit, bring the feet closer together. As you exhale, we'll tip forward over the front straight leg. Pyramid pose, other side. If you're looking for more depth or more intensity, you might bring the hands to the seat of the chair or to your leg. From here, we'll move into triangle. So right hand will stay on the chair, left hand might come to the hip. We'll pivot on the back toes so that the toes are facing the original position. And we'll turn the chest so that it's almost as though we're turning it up towards the sky. If it would feel good here to widen the stance, that's an option. Triangle pose. Coming all the way back up. Let's turn both toes out. We'll find 5-pointed star, arms reach out, maybe the chest comes forward, a little bit of a back bend. Then we'll draw the hands together in front of us, prayer pose, bend into the knees, finding goddess again. Then standing back up, bringing the feet together or to your comfortable stance. We'll bring the hands up and overhead. They can touch or be wide. As you exhale, we'll tip away from the exhaling towards the chair. Inhaling back to center and releasing the arms. Beautiful. We'll move through that full sequence one more time, starting the other direction. As you're ready, inhale, arms up and overhead. Hands can touch or not. Exhale towards the chair. Inhale back up. Exhale away from the chair. Inhale back up. Draw hands down through center to prayer position. Step the feet wide. Toes turning out. Bend into the knees. Goddess. Straightening the legs as you're ready. Arms reach out wide. 5-pointed star. Hands might reach back behind you, broadening the chest. And then come back up to a straight position, arms stay wide. We'll adjust the feet. Left toes, turn forward. Right toes, turn towards the chair. Left hand can come to the waist. Right hand can come to the chair. And we'll tip sideways over the straight leg. Imagining that the chest is turning up towards the ceiling. And breathing. When you're ready, coming up onto the back toes, and we'll pivot, turning the hips, turning to face the chair. Both hands on the chair. And we find ourselves in pyramid pose. Both legs are quite straight, tipping over the front leg. If you're looking for more depth, the hands can come down to the seat or to your leg. When you're ready, let's bend into the front knee, coming into a high lunge. Back heel can be lifted. If this feels quite stable, you could lift one or both arms up and overhead. And releasing hands back down. We'll turn to pivot forward once more and bend from one knee to the other. Gentle, speed skater. Then coming back to center, both legs straight, stepping the feet back together. We'll switch the chair, moving the chair to the other side. We're back in the center of our sequence. With access to the chair on the other side, we'll come back to speed skater. And then finish with your left leg bent this time. We'll pivot on the toes so that we're turning to face the chair, finding ourselves in a high lunge. Front leg bent, back leg more or less straight, the heel is lifted. If you're feeling stable, one or both arms might lift up and overhead. Then allowing the hands to come down to the chair. We'll straighten the front leg, tipping forward, pyramid pose. Letting the left hand stay on the chair, right hand will come to the hip. We'll pivot on the back foot so that we bring the toes to face forward. And we'll use the elbow to turn the chest up towards the sky, triangle. When you're ready, we'll come all the way back up. Turning both toes so that they turn out. Arms stretch wide, 5-pointed star. Stretching the arms back, chest broad. Then drawing the hands together, knees bend, goddess pose. Straightening the legs, bringing the feet together. One could jump the feet together if one wanted to. Inhaling the arms up and overhead. We'll exhale away from the chair. Inhale back to center. Exhale towards the chair. Inhale back to center. And release hands down by your sides. And salutations. Once in each direction. Beautifully done. Let's find some balance. So having access again to the backrest of your chair or to a wall. You can use anything at this point, something for a little stability. And let's start by standing on the leg closest to the chair. So I'll stand on my left and bring the right leg up towards me. You might bring the right hand to hold the right knee. And then this might be where you stay. You might play with balance here, letting the fingers maybe get lighter on the chair or lift. Optional complication. you might draw right knee out to the right. Second part of the optional complication, you might start to move your gaze along the room or along the floor until maybe you're looking over the opposite shoulder, away from the knee. Then bringing both the gaze and the knee back to center. We'll release the foot down to the floor and find any counter movement that feels good. You might shake out the standing leg. You might shake out the lifted leg. You might wiggle the hips a little bit. And then we'll set up for the other side. I always like to move my chair again to give my opposite hand a chance to support me. So standing on the right leg this time for me. We'll lift left leg. And you might hold left knee with left hand. This might be a good place to stay. You might lose your balance here. You might let the fingers get a little bit lighter on the chair, or maybe lift. Optional complication. You might draw left knee out to the left. Whoop. Support of the chair is always there, or the wall, whatever you're using, available. Optional complication, part 2. You might let your gaze slide along the floor or on objects around the room until you're looking over the opposite shoulder. Keep breathing. And slowly making your way back to center, gaze and knee, come forward again. And release the knee down to the ground. You might shake out the standing leg. You might shake out the lifted leg. You might wiggle your hips a little bit, finding any counter movement that feels good. And we'll make our way back to seated to close practice. If there's any other move that your body feels like it wants to make before we get there, making those movements, finding that, allowing your body to tell you what it's looking for. Eventually coming back to seated as you're ready. Finding that connection of sit bones with the chair. Maybe noticing how the thighs feel resting down. Hands can either stay exactly where they are, resting wherever they're comfortable, or you might bring hands over heart or hands into prayer position. Sending gratitude to yourself, first of all, for making the time to move and breathe together, for honoring your body and breath. With gratitude for allowing me to guide you through the practice today. And with gratitude to all the students and teachers who have come before us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace.